Wonder how does a man get to feel this way? I've always got a smiling face, anytime or any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Now people may try to guess the secret of our happiness, but none of them seem to learn it's a simple thing. The secret that I'm speaking of is a woman and a man in love. And the answer is in this song that I always sing. You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home.
Good morning. My name is Jodie Mears, and it is my privilege to help out with the service today. Just a brief reminder, could everyone turn off their mobile phones? On behalf of Hilly's family, I would like to welcome you to the service to celebrate her life. After the service today, we will make our way to the Traralgon Lawn Cemetery, where we will lay Hilly to rest. You are welcome then to return here to share some refreshments from the CWA. We are here today to give thanks for the life of Hilly Lenghaus and to acknowledge that while death is the end of mortal life, it marks a new beginning in our spiritual life. We are also here to share in the sorrow of those who mourn and to offer them our love and support. Hilly's death has been a shock to us all. She was indeed a very healthy lady. On Tuesday, August 25, Hilly did what she had done 100 times before, lots and lots of times. She went to cross the road. She had a fall. We know that it left her unconscious. We also know that there were people there who came to her aid, but that she remained unconscious from then on. She was taken to the Austin Hospital in Melbourne, and in the following days it became clear that her injuries were such that she would not regain consciousness. On Friday, August 28, a great heart stopped beating. Franz, Yvonne and Christine would like us to know that during the time leading up to her passing, she was in no pain. She looked very much herself and at peace. Strange as it was to see her in a hospital bed, we know that Hilly never wanted to lose her energy for life or have her independence diminish. She would have wanted to die with dignity, and her passing was dignified. As tragic as it feels, she was cared for with dignity, and the legacy of her good health meant that she was able to donate her organs for others. For that, we can give thanks. A reading from the Holy Scriptures. For everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to laugh and a time to weep, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. We'll hear our next song, My Best Friend.
You've been here beside me and shared all my dreams through the years. We've shared all the laughter, and sometimes you've dried all my tears. You stood close beside me and held me when good times turned bad. I need you to know you're the best friend that I've ever had. Together we've laughed as we walked hand in hand in the rain. All the good times we've had comes back to my memory again. And now as the years pass, they're turning from silver to gold. I pray we will share them together as we're growing old. You're my best friend, the one friend I know will be there come what may. You're the one I depend on, the one friend I turn to each day. So if sometimes I hurt you and things that I say make you sad, remember I love you and you're the best friend that I've ever had. You're my best friend, the one friend I know will be there come what may. You're the one I depend on, the one friend I turn to each day. So if sometimes I hurt you and things that I say make you sad, remember I love you and you're the best friend that I've ever had. Remember I love you and you're the best friend that I've ever had.
I'll now call on Yvonne and Christine to provide the eulogy.
Thank Thank you to everyone for coming today to celebrate Mum's life and to say goodbye. Dad has written some notes about Mum's life and wanted to share it with all of you today, and I've added also some of my own good memories of Mum. Okay, so Mum was born in Holland on the 22nd of March 1941 in a place called Alphen aan de Rijn. Later, her family moved to Winterswijk in the eastern part of Holland, and Mum had 4 brothers. Mum's brothers fought in the Indonesian War, but when they returned to Holland, they found it too small and decided to immigrate to Australia. So in 1956, Mum's parents decided to immigrate to Australia as well, and after sailing for 7 weeks on a boat through the Panama Canal, Tahiti and New Zealand, they arrived in Melbourne on the 6th of February 1957. Mum found a job relatively quickly at the Kiwi Shoe Polish Factory in Jeanette Street in Traralgon. And after it closed in 1963, Mum worked in the cookery centre at the Traralgon High School. During this time, she met Dad, Franz, and they married on the 23rd of April 1965. They built their home in Collins Street, where they still live today. Mum loved to bake sponges, chocolate chips, biscuits and yo-yos, and in the last few years she specialised in speakerlass. We've always had a never-ending supply of whatever biscuit or cake we needed. At my school where I work, we take it in turns to be on tea duty, and during the week you have to bring something for morning tea. And all I ever had to do was call Mum and say, "Mum, I'm on tea duty this week." And she'd say, "No worries, pick up the yo-yos on Tuesday." Mum used an old red biscuit tin to put her yo-yos in, so when all the teachers at school saw that tin, they knew that they were getting yo-yos. I think I'll need some practice baking before I can bring yo-yos to school. Mum became a member of the Traralgon CWA in 1978 and enjoyed meeting with the ladies every Wednesday, chatting while doing craft work. Mum formed many wonderful friendships with the ladies at the CWA, and we're very grateful for all the joy that they had together. Dad grows his own vegetables, typically Dutch vegetables, such as kale, red cabbage, endive, and Mum loved cooking the traditional Dutch meals with these vegetables. They also have their own chooks and get fresh eggs every day, so Mum used these eggs for her everyday baking. Mum loved country music, so every year for the last 20 years, Mum and Dad went to Mildura to the Country and Western Festival. Mum loved to sit and listen to her favourite singers and enjoy the musical atmosphere. And on their way home from the music festival, they'd stock up with supplies such as oranges and stop at the SPC factory in Shepparton, so Mum would have enough supplies to last for the rest of the year. In the earlier days, Mum loved her annual summer holiday to Lakes Entrance, taking the family caravan. Mum and Dad enjoyed going back to Holland several times, and even though Mum lived in Australia, she always kept good contact with her friends and family in Holland. The last time they went overseas, they did the boat trip from Budapest to Amsterdam and then stayed a few extra weeks in Holland visiting family and friends. The one thing Mum was determined to do was climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. She always said that was the one thing that she wanted to do, and so, for Mum and Dad's 50th wedding anniversary in April, we all went to Sydney to climb it. Dad's cousin, Corrie, and her husband, Koos, came over from Holland to help celebrate Mum and Dad's anniversary, as well as Antoinette, a Dutch friend, so we all went to Sydney together. Mum absolutely loved climbing the bridge, finding the views from the top just spectacular. And when we got down again, I remember one of the young girls in our group puffing and panting, saying that she was glad